It is another Jim Les Terry show. Jimless. Yes, Jimless. He's not in the Hobbit hole this morning, but will be here for breakfast. So stay tuned. This is a response to a query about how we know anything, which is really the branch of philosophy called epistemology. And in epistemology, we usually separate it into the books that Aristotle wrote on physics, which includes the natural sciences, observing nature, mathematics, things that you can know through the senses. And then the books that did not fit that description were gathered at the end, and they were called metaphysics. In other words, the books that came after the books on physics. So meta didn't mean transcendental, didn't mean intuitive, didn't mean any of that. It just meant stuff that is at the end of the collection of the books on stuff we can know, that we can measure, that we can observe. So I'll start with that as a premise, just to the whole query of, what is science and why are people getting their shorts in a knot about science and elevating science into an ism, saying it's no better than a religious faith? It was interesting to read a response that to the previous posting, that AI argued the case that science is an ism. And it was a well-structured argument. Got to give hats off to AI, but it was lacking. It's like AI music. I'll put it in that context and frame it this way. I have a sibling who's gloriously doing wondrous things through converting discussions and conversations into songs. It allows him to express stuff that's in his heart, mind, and spirit about life and about people and about things and things that he doesn't understand, things that he does understand, and puts it all into an AI-derived song. But in my humble estimation, as a septuagenarian with a half a century of performing experience and learning, I would say that it's all predictive. When you get on your phone and you try to answer a text message or an email response, and I don't know about you, but I'm all thumbs, and my thumbs are rather large, and I get predictive text problems where words are substituted. And AI is sort of doing that with music. And I've used the word before that it sounds flat and two-dimensional as opposed to music, which has some kind of different feeling to it, a different ambiance to it. And I don't want to go into the realm of saying, well, that's just your perspective. Well, it is, and it's based on what I have experienced and learned. The AI music that I've been listening to, although you may not find fault with it, you may say, wow, that's glorious. Oh, I love the vocals. It's there's something about it that is, I don't want to use that trite saying, but phony baloney. Fake baloney. Baloney itself is fake. It's, it's stuff that it doesn't quite sit right to my ears. And even though it's well produced and the mixing and mastering, the fades and parts are all orchestrated without flaw, it sits a little two-dimensionally in my being. Okay, so that's just maybe me reacting to it. Maybe I can quantify that response in some other way. But AI used as an argument or creating an argument or a counter-argument, it's like Stay Spiritual had a great podcast where they used AI to justify who is God, Jesus or Muhammad, and or is it Islam or Christianity is the one true faith, something along those lines. It was fascinating to see AI argue with itself and counter-argue, and maybe that's where I'm at with this one. AI created a counter-argument to the thesis that science is not an ism, and they started with the proposition science is an ism, which is not where I started in my podcast, but it was the opposite argument, the counter argument. And it was a great read for me. It was nice to go through it and just see the structure. AI structured the argument in a way that is logical, coherent, but fell short. It's like a two-dimensional response. Yes, it did literally do what you asked it to do, but it didn't do it with what I would call a human. Is it passion that's the unknown variable? There's something lacking. It's like baking a cake, but you forgot the yeast. It didn't rise. The bread stayed flat. Nothing wrong with flat bread, but when you want yeast in there and you want it to act and rise, and it doesn't rise, well, then there's something wrong. And that's my argument for this one. So what do I find with AI and science? What's going on here? And my first response is simply to say that science is a way of knowing. And since the scientific revolution and since the Enlightenment, so we're talking about the 16th, 17th centuries, we're talking about technology, so we're talking about the invention of the telescope, the microscope, electricity being analyzed, about all the theorems that go into science that lead to where we are today. And I celebrate SpaceX and a successful launch and all mission objectives checkbox. It's stunning to me, and I still, despite not liking Elon Musk as a human being, and despite saying, isn't there other useful purposes for the billions of dollars that these gazillionaires have for themselves? Is there something else that could be done? Despite all that, I celebrate the achievements of science. And science leads to James Webb, the Space Telescope, which informs us about cosmology, which is how small we really are and unique we seem to be in the known universe. Does that mean we know it all? No. Does science claim to know it all? No. It's simply a self-corrective methodology where it finds its hypothesis insufficient to explain the data. It has to revamp and rewrite itself and improve itself so that it fits. And that's the whole goal of science, to improve our learning. Test, and retest until we got some measure of assurance. Guarantee? No. Dogma? No. But it is the quest for understanding. Now, the opposite of that is faith, which is not reasonable. It's not rational. It is simply the apprehension or claim to apprehend truth from the ether. Truth from something that cannot be seen, touched, tasted, felt, smelt. Any of the ways that we know something to be real. So the question is, what is reality? Well, science answers that question using our sense data model. And up until now, there's been nothing to really challenge that. Sure, you can do shrooms and psychedelics, and sure, you can claim to have some spiritual insight, but there's no evidentiary basis for that claim. Whereas science has evidence, which is the measurable claims of the sense data. So there you go. That's my rant. I don't think it's a rant, but it's sort of trying to understand what's with all the anti-science. And if you reject science and science is learning, or claim that science is just the same as every other ism, a claim with no foundation, no sure foundation, I would say that you don't understand really what science is. And having read through the AI argument that science is becoming an ism, I get it, I can see it, and yet that fails to fully understand and give credit to what science has done, which is basically solve so many problems that were created by faith, the belief in magical thinking, the burning of witches, the outing of people who you didn't agree with. All of that stuff is in the realm of faith. I don't like you. Why? Because what? It's written in my holy book, whatever book you subscribe to. Faith that says God, the infinite God of the universe, communicated in a book is beyond credible, in my opinion. So when you go into faith, you abandon reason. Faith and reason, the big counter arguments for how we understand life, living, and the claims of what it means to be human and what is real. The Jim and Terry Show, last one without Jim. He will be here, counter arguing. The Jim and Terry Show. Bye-bye.